another live stream. It's been a long time since I did 2 live streams in a row, but yesterday was just so important. I needed to talk to the community. And, after the crash we had on Friday, I think it was very important just to, go through a couple of scenarios, explain some, just to ease the mood out there, right, legends? So welcome to this live stream. What I want to do is, because there has been an overwhelming request from personal messages that I've received to please do a macro time frame analysis. So we can discuss the smaller time frames. Nothing really has changed since yesterday, just a couple of things I want to go through. And then we can do a little bit of weekly time frame analysis and assess the probabilities. Also, there has been an overwhelming request for one specific altcoin, which is Arweave. So I'm going to go through Arweave as well. And then if there's time, I will go through some other altcoins as well. So what I'll do is I'll leave the altcoins for the last part of the live stream. So for those of you that are not interested in altcoins, you're happy to jump, happiness, you can jump off, leave the live stream. But I know that 99% of people on this stream, they are Bitcoin maxis, right? We trade Bitcoin. We are day traders. We want to get in, get out with good risk management. And that is why I always focus on Bitcoin. I trade 99% of my day trading is done on Bitcoin. Okay, so I did see some comments from people getting upset because I don't go through altcoins. But guys, just remember, this is a Bitcoin channel. We trade Bitcoin. And when there's time, I will go through altcoins as well. The one thing that I've always realized, if I look at my statistics, is when I talk about Bitcoin, the views go up. Okay, people love Bitcoin. As soon as I start talking about altcoins, people just drop off the live streams. It's not good for the YouTube algorithm and from a channel growth perspective. So in today's stream, I'm going to tackle Bitcoin. I'm going to go through Arweave. We can go through ETH, maybe the mother, like I've tackled yesterday as well. And if there's still time, I will take a couple of requests. Okay. Right. Legends. Let me see if my mic is working. Yeah, everything's good. It looks like the screen is good. I don't have any technical issues. Okay, I will go through some comments. And the one thing I also just want to start off with before we dive into the technical analysis, legends, is that I have received some really bad messages. Okay, I've also seen some really bad messages from other people that, the one person, a YouTube influencer, well known, climbed in his, Lambo, and committed suicide after Friday. So guys, it's bad out there. It's really bad. People liquidated millions and millions and millions of dollars in their portfolios. And some people are even have committed suicide. Some people are considering suicide from some of the messages that I've received. So be strong, stay strong. Legends, what goes down must come up. Even from an emotional perspective and from a life perspective, life is not perfect and you're not always going to be happy. So you just have to persevere, push through those dark moments, and you will come out the other side stronger. So for those of you that did take a big knock, you are down in the dumps, you are depressed, remember, this too shall pass. Okay, so I have also received messages from people that absolutely nailed the short. Okay, I have received messages from people that said, well, this was the best Friday of their lives. Okay, so on the other side of the token, there are people that successfully shorted this little lower high. And it was a trading scenario that I did highlight on Friday. Okay, it was a shorting zone. If you managed to stay in that short, well, then you rode all this momentum here to the downside. And there was people that actually sent me messages saying that they've made an insane amount of profits and they actually jumped into the long as well. So well done to the people that actually saw the opportunity and were on the right side of the market with good risk management. Okay, so that's enough of that. It is a very depressing time for some. But I can guarantee you, you will recover, you will come out the other side stronger. Okay, take a break from the charts. If you are severely impacted, take a break from the charts. Okay, don't trade. just be strong. Maybe go spend some, talk to someone, anyone that, you know, that's willing to listen, a stranger even. Right, I don't know what else to say, legends. I have also, you know, I'm not sure if I should mention this on the live stream. I've also received a lot of requests from people asking me for money. Unfortunately, legends, and I'm not sure it's, I'm not saying it's any of you. Unfortunately, I cannot help everyone. Okay, I will just have no money left if I have to help everyone with their financial disasters. And right, so I just want to make that clear, please, guys. You know, I know it's bad out there, and I know that some of you lost everything, but I cannot just send everyone money that asks me for money. It's yeah, I just can't do that. Right. Yo, Dewald. Sin Games, welcome. Good morning, lovely people. Yes, Dewald, it's so true. Ending everything is never the right option. Life will always give you a second chance if you give it a chance. Yes, Jackie. Or Jack, I just wanted to, you know, open up before I go into the technical analysis to say that, you know, there's some people that really benefited from this move. Most people around the world are deep underwater, or they have nothing left. Okay, because they didn't practice risk management, they didn't have invalidations, they didn't place stop losses. They thought the structures would just hold, and then something like this happens once in 1,000 times. Something like this happens, and it just knocks you out. You're out the game. It's unfortunate, but you know, keep strong, guys. Just keep strong. All right. YouTube flags it. Be careful, Dewald. You can't say. Oh, you can't say these days. Oh, right, sorry. I suppose I'll just have to edit that out after the live stream. Stefan1, welcome. Mr. Salty, welcome. Stefan1, welcome. Great to see the mods in the house. Everything works. Let's go. BTC, baby. Stefan1, yes. Willie Feed, welcome. Hello, legends. I'm in a short BTC now. Profit 100K. Right, we're going to go and analyze it now in a moment. Just want to see if there's anything that I'm missing. Hello, I mean, yes, Mr. Sockman over here, you know, just for the first time in my life, I was not liquidated with this move down, all thanks to you and the legends. Thank you, legends, for all the education and effort to educate people. Absolute pleasure, man. Sockman, I'm glad you were on the right side of the market, you practice good risk management, and you made some insane gains. Well done, well done. Right, so now, Dewald, SL did not work at the moment on the Binance. Yeah, I mean, some of the altcoins, depending on which altcoin you traded, okay, there was slippage, guys. There was so much slippage, and I see a lot of comments from people complaining about the exchanges that had slippage. For example, you had a stop loss at $1 for a specific altcoin, and then it only cashed out at 80 cents or 70 cents. Okay, there's a lot of that, but I do know that most of these exchanges have user protection funds. So if you had a stop loss in place at a specific level and it did not get hit at that specific level, you can raise a support ticket. And these exchanges will most often refund you the cash that you have lost. So guys, just make sure that you take advantage of the support that these exchanges do offer for liquidation events like this. Okay. Right. So Cyrus, like I've just mentioned, okay, if your stop loss did not kick in or it kicked in very late, you can raise support tickets with these exchanges, and most likely, most instances, they will refund you. Okay, it's happened to me in the past a couple of times as well, where the slippage, stop loss didn't kick in or it kicks in very late, okay, and I have received refunds every single time. Okay, before I was even a YouTube influencer. One thing I would say is when we have a massive liquidation event, we normally do not retest. It indicates a bottom, so expecting another low might not be the way to go. Not financial advice, just my opinion. Sin Games, yes, you are hitting on a very important point. Okay, when I went through some of the altcoins, okay, let's just open up some of the altcoins over here, guys. I'm not going to analyze any of them. I just want to show an example. So please don't drop off the stream. We're going to do some great technical analysis here on Bitcoin. Okay, but when I look at Doge, for example, okay, well, this is now bad because I'm going to go through that now. But when you see this, okay, I'm here on the 8-hour, 12-hour time frame. Okay, when you see wicks like this that has been bought up so quickly, it usually signifies the end of something and the beginning of something new. And nothing obviously is ever guaranteed in the market, legends, but you have to also think to yourself, there was a lot of damage done to the downside. Usually now it's going to do damage to the upside. Okay, so people now trying to short and think it's going to revisit the lows, you know, maybe they are the people that's now going to be on the right side of the wrong side of the market. Anyways, now let's go and analyze the price of Bitcoin. So on the smaller time frame, let's go here onto the 1 hour time frame. Something that I spoke about yesterday as well is that we need to tap the 0.618 to start eliminating some bearish case scenarios. Okay, so you can count this structure as multiple 1-2s, nested 1-2s, where you have 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Okay, now you could potentially still build those 4 5 4 5s 4 5s to the downside. On the Binance, the Bybit, okay, charts, we have hit the 0.618. When I take a fib from this low, from this high to the low, okay, we tapped the 0.618. Can you guys see that? Okay, when I move the fib to this high, just to play it safe, okay, we have tapped the 0.618. When I move the fib to this high, and even to this high, we have also tapped the 0.618. This is where price is currently struggling and consolidating at the moment. So on the Bybit and the Binance chart, we have hit the 0.618 multiple times, okay, from this high, from this high, from this high, and from this high. But to play it safe, you ideally wanted to hit it from, you know, just from a like an extreme safety perspective, it needs to hit it here above. So from a Binance and a Bybit perspective, one could argue that the probabilities to revisit the low in the short term is diminishing. Okay, and to build 1-2s, nested 1-2s over here, and now we're going to build 4 5s here to the downside, the probabilities are starting to decrease. Okay, but there's still a little bit of a problem. Okay, so when I go to the Binance chart, or the Coinbase chart, sorry guys, Coinbase chart, we have not hit, okay, the 0.618 just as yet, even from the lowest pivot, because on most exchanges, perpetual exchanges, futures exchanges, this week went further down. It went much further. Okay, so on Coinbase, I would like to see on the Coinbase chart that we also hit the 0.618. That will then significantly reduce the probabilities, okay, that the nested 1-2s over here is not going to repeat here at the bottom. But because it's already been hit on Binance and Bybit, I would say the scenario is starting to already carry low probability. It's not the highest probability at the moment. Right. Usually, okay, what happens? So let's go back to the Binance chart, okay, because that is the chart where I do most of my analysis. Usually what happens when you have a large wick to the downside, especially here on the daily time frame, okay, or even the weekly time frame, let's do this. Usually what happens is you take a fib from the low to the high where the body closed, and you drag it across, and what price generally likes to do, it goes back to the 50% mark, which usually presents a great buying opportunity. So if price decides to come back down to the 50% mark, okay, when on the higher time frames, usually most often when you leave a massive wick to the downside, price often loves to retrace to the 50% mark. I mean, all these levels actually becomes very interesting. 50%, 618, you don't really want price to go lower than the 786. Okay, so there is still a chance that we can find downwards momentum, but then it forms that bounce that takes us back into all-time high territory. Okay, unless, I mean, guys, it's not guaranteed that it needs to go there, because the market could also just front run, and because the reason the market loves to do that, market makers, let's just call them market makers, the reason they like to do that is that some retailers, most retailers, they will see the damage, okay, and they will just long like crazy people. They're longing. So you create one more flush and you stop them out, and one more fear that stops them all out, liquidates their position depending on how much leverage they used. Because I mean, that's still a significant move to the downside. Let's just measure that out. Okay, from where price is now, that's a 6% move, 7. Worst case scenario, perhaps a 10% move here to the downside. That could still, create fear and panic. But we all know, it could front run as well. It could front run. It just, consolidates, and then off to the races we go. Right, so that's just one scenario that I wanted to point out, and that is basically what I see here on the price of Bitcoin at the moment. Let's go back here onto the 1 hour. From a longing perspective, okay, we have created some levels. Finally, I just have to say that this range is still very fresh. After the damage was done, it's still a very fresh range, and it's difficult to look for trading opportunities inside of a fresh range that formed after such a massive dump. So guys, perhaps it's a better time to sit a little bit on your hands and wait for price to develop until you can apply your strategy successfully in terms of what you want to see. Okay, don't just FOMO and buy for the sake of buying. You don't have a plan. Okay, if you're just entering here blindly without a plan, it's not the way to go. Okay. So now, if I switch on some daily levels, okay, let's just keep it simple, and I take a fib from the low to the highs that we've created over here, you can see, well, we're starting to build up some confluence. So an area of interest, if price wants to decide to go a little bit lower, okay, we have a nice fresh daily level together with a 0.382. And I do like these pivots, perhaps, a nice little swing failure, okay? That is where I will, for the first time, consider a long after the drop. Okay. Daily level 0.382, grab the liquidity. For everyone that longed too early, maybe they stop losses are over here, so we create a little bit of a nice little liquidity, okay, and we move back to the upside. So definitely a longing zone that I will be paying attention to. Obviously, price needs to develop a little bit more. So ideally, what I would like to see is for a nice little trend to also form, okay? If you miss this, okay, and let it go, guys. If it wants to fall, let it go. You wait for the trend, you play the breakout. Okay, you play the breakout, you know exactly where to put your stop loss. So unfortunately, price action is still a little bit fresh. Okay, so wait, guys. If your trading scenario cannot play out, or you cannot apply your trading strategy, just stay out of the market until it starts making sense to you. Okay, so, I mean, for me, this is the only longing opportunity that I see at the moment. And then from a shorting opportunity, I mean, guys, we don't really have any levels to the upside unless we go and claim $123,000. Just want to see, do we have any point of controls? Yeah, it's definitely an area, but I mean, it's a little bit high up still. Okay, so from the high to the low, it's at the 786. Okay, where we could get a rejection. So if price wants to continue, maybe it drops first, then it goes back up, it rejects, forms a higher low, and it continues shorting opportunity. Okay, inside of this zone, there's a high volume node. Before all hell broke loose, okay, there's a nice little consolidation area here. The highest amount of volume that was traded is in this zone together with the 786. So that could be a shorting opportunity. That is the longing opportunity. Anywhere in here between, I am not interested at the moment as a trader. I'm willing to sit on my hands and wait. Okay, the price action to the downside, this crash we had on Friday, is still a little bit fresh. Okay, we don't have a lot of price action at the moment to have high probability trades. Okay, so that is basically what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin on the smaller time frames. Okay, so now I want to do, now we need another flush after this devastation. And after the flush, we would need another flush. Blazing Fury, yeah, the flush after the flush. Mr. SGS, welcome to the live stream. Pac-Man, I see you guys here. Buy the dip, no financial advice. Yes, I did, guys. I said yesterday, I did buy the dip. Not on Bitcoin, but some of my on my altcoin portfolio. On spot, guys. I did not open up any leverage trades. Okay, I just added some to my spot bags. Okay, now I want to discuss the weekly time frame. Okay, let's go to the logarithmic. I am on the log scale, and I've had a lot of requests for people asking me, where are we from an Elliott wave perspective on the macro time frame since we made this low? Okay, in November of 2022. Is it over? Because we all know with a massive crash, which is actually insignificant on the larger time frame, okay, but when you have a massive crash to the downside, the first thing that always pops up is bear market. We're starting the bear market. Okay, the bear market probabilities are almost, it looks like it's going to invalidate itself, especially if we can tap that 0.618 on Coinbase as well. Well, then the bearish case scenarios are starting to invalidate themselves. So one thing that I do want to highlight, worst case scenario that I see on the price of Bitcoin is claiming the highs again before we start a bear market. For now, on the weekly and the daily time frame, that is still the highest probability. We have a low, we have a high, and we still have a higher low. And if price wants to come back down, and you still, as long as market structure is intact, there is no reason to think that it's the bear market. We still have higher highs and higher lows. Guys, just keep it as market structure comes before anything else. You have to respect the trend, and the trend is still up. And the trend is your friend until the trend is broken, and the trend has not been broken. Okay, so the first scenario I want to discuss is the most bearish case scenario that I see on the price of Bitcoin. And it's this one. Okay. So you guys can see that even in the most bearish case scenario, I'm still expecting the high to be claimed at least once more. Okay. So in the worst case scenario, what I see on Bitcoin is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, beautiful, and now we're ending the fifth wave in a contracting diagonal, where we already formed a 1, a 2, a 3, now maybe the 4 is in, and we go back up, and we hit the number 5 over here, and minimum target, I just wrote here minimum target, $139,000, 88.90 cents. I know that is extremely specific, but from a trend-based FIB extension perspective, that is the minimum target. But although it's the minimum target from a trend-based FIB extension perspective, according to Elliott wave theory, all that the fifth wave needs to do is claim the high of 3. That's all it needs to do. So as soon as the fifth wave claims the high again, as soon as we go over $126,400, the fifth wave could be in, and we could start the bear market. Okay, and that's why I'm saying, guys, in the worst case scenario, and this is, by the way, my most bearish case scenario that I have, is that we claim the high at least one more time to complete a fifth wave. Okay, maybe it taps the top of the channel to perfection, and it rejects, it loses the trend to the downside, and then we can talk about a bear market. So this is the most bearish case scenario that I have. Okay, that will end round about the 1st of September, the end of November, give or take. Okay, a couple of days or a week or so. So worst case scenario, it would be great. Okay, and usually on the larger time frames, it respects these levels. Okay, so the minimum target that I see for this potential scenario is $139,000, 88.90 cents. Okay, it doesn't have to hit it exact, but you guys, from a trend-based FIB extension perspective, that is the minimum target that I have over here. That will then complete your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your fifth wave ends in a ending diagonal, and we start the bear market to the downside. And this is the worst case scenario that I have, guys. I don't have another worst case scenario. Okay, I know that there are some people from an Elliott wave perspective that will zoom into the structure, and I know that's true to say that, well, the minimum requirement for the fifth wave, okay, is that we take the high of 3, which we did. So theoretically, one could argue that your fifth wave is done, and now we're going to start a bear market. Okay, based on the movement down, and which I said we don't have enough price action yet. To end the bear market here has already been invalidated on Binance and on Bybit. It has not been invalidated on Coinbase just as yet. And that is why that 0.618 level is so goddamn important. Okay, because if we fall and we form an impulse to the downside, I'm going to be looking for shorting opportunities. Okay, so the local structure will show me the way. And at the moment, the local structure has already invalidated an impulse to the downside on 2 major exchanges. So I need to start giving that probability low. I need to start giving it lower probability. Okay, so the highest probability for me, if we are going to only create one more high, is that we do it over here. Okay, $130,000 area. Hope this makes sense. Okay, this is the worst case scenario that I see at the moment, is still to at least claim the high once more. Then I have the extended fifth wave. I just want to make sure that I'm back here on lock scale. Okay, there we go. And this is now getting a little bit more bullish. Okay, and after this scenario, I have another scenario which I'm not going to share. We will share that once we invalidate the contracting diagonal or the ending diagonal. In this scenario, okay, we have a 1, 2, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your wave 1. You have a 3-wave corrective structure in your wave 2. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your wave 3. You guys can see beautiful balances, right? You have a 3-wave WXY corrective structure in your 4. We all remember this correction, long, boring. This is what you like to see in a fourth wave. And then we had another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the upside, double one. It was actually 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, which balances perfectly. But basically, after we completed the third wave, and now I'm calling this structure an extended fifth wave. Okay, inside of your fifth wave, you are now forming a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And inside of your third wave, inside of your fifth wave, you are creating a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I hope that makes sense, guys. I don't want to confuse it too much over here, but basically, okay, from a simplicity perspective, you still want price to chop here to the upside. And when it claims the top of the channel that I have over here, and it falls down and it breaks the bottom of the channel, that's where you start talking about bear markets, because then you're going to start losing momentum. You're going to lose the momentum that we formed since we made this low in November of 2022. Because what could happen there is that you lose the channel, okay, retest, and you start the bear market. Right, so some great shorting opportunities still ahead. Right, so this is one of the scenario, and dare I say, okay, for now, this scenario for me at the moment carries higher probability than the previous scenario that I've just highlighted. Dare I say that? Okay, but we need to keep all scenarios in the back of our mind. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, right? But the structure is still intact. What I do like about the base channel is that generally your fourth waves should not tap the bottom of the base channel. And every single fourth wave has not tapped the bottom of the base channel as yet. You can see your fourth wave did not tap the base of the channel. This correction did not tap the base. This correction for now have not tapped the base. If price moves down and it loses, it starts trading outside of the base, then I am eliminating the scenario. Then we can talk about bear market. You're not allowed to lose. You know, you don't want your fourth wave to start closing high time. It's fine if it wicks out and it gets acceptance back above on a daily, from a daily perspective, but you don't want to close candles outside below this base channel. So for now, based on the price action that we have today, well, we have still not tapped the base. And there's a chance that we could find some upwards momentum and finish the bull market and continue momentum. 5-wave impulse down. Maybe we'll find a short over there. We'll get to that when it's still way too early to talk about catching the short here from the top, because we don't know. No one knows, guys. No one knows how high it's gonna go. But when I consider all data points, when I consider the pi cycle indicator, the top and the bottom indicator, when I consider the 4-year cycle, when I consider the Wall Street cheat sheet, when I look at all the data, okay, this, based on the data that I have, this scenario carries the highest higher probability than the previous scenario, because the previous scenario will invalidate a lot of data points, which is not impossible, and that's why I'm still talking about it, but this scenario will actually fit all the data points. Where this 5th wave, I mean the top of the channel over here, guys, is at, let's just call it $230,000. So I know for a fact that most people are looking at $130,000, $135,000 for the bull market to top out. What if it goes to above 200? That is going to make people extremely bullish. That's where the euphoria starts kicking in. That's where people say we're going to 500K, we're going to $1 million. You want people to start talking about unrealistic targets because there's a lot of euphoria in the air. And I think we will get it if price can reach these levels. Then, when there's euphoria, altcoins are absolutely exploding again. The shittest of shit altcoin is doing 100x in one day, for example. That is where you reach the top, okay, and the bear market starts. Right, so definitely one scenario that I'm keeping an eye on, and I'm not going to discuss the most bullish case scenario as yet, because people are going to call me absolutely dog shit crazy for doing that. Okay. Right, what's the price of drop out of the momentum? So if price had to lose this momentum, it's $100,000, give or take, close to $100,000. Okay, right. Remember to smash up that like button if you guys do enjoy the alpha, the content over here. Okay, my analysis is purely based on technicals, guys. It's not because I want the bull market to continue. It's not because I am biased. Okay, it's purely based on technical analysis and based on the local price action that we are going to form here on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, which for now, on 2 major exchanges, an impulse to the downside has been is starting to carry lower probability. Guys, when you form nested 1-2s, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, it doesn't matter how many 1-2s are in there. You have to repeat this structure to the downside. You have to repeat it. That is a valid impulse. For now, this looks like a 3-wave structure, which could have come to an end, which means that you still have a high chance in claiming the high again. Okay, unless price falls and it does this now to the downside. If it does this, okay, and it repeats this, then I'm going to be looking for shorting opportunities when we do the 3-wave retracement. Okay, so we need a little bit of more price action to play out, but at least on Binance and on Bybit, the nested 1-2s has already been invalidated. Because when you take a FIP, okay, because guys, what you want to see is, your 4th waves should not tap the 0.618. So here on the Binance chart, okay, if you have nested 1-2s and you have your big drop in the middle with high volume, ideally what you would like to see is 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. And these 4s should not tap the 0.618 when you take a FIP, at least from the lowest pivot. If you want to play it safe, you can take it from higher pivots as well, just to get extra confirmation. But your 4th waves in an impulse is not allowed to claim the 0.618, which on Binance and Bybit it did. So it's already starting to lower this probability. Okay, but on Coinbase it did not. And this is why I'm saying, just please still trade with caution. Okay. Right, legends, remember to smash up that like button. Okay, let me just put that 2 over there. Can switch off the scenarios. And that is basically the two scenarios that I am keeping an eye on the price of Bitcoin. Okay. Just to keep it simple. Right, so for now, it's still not over. Okay, it's still not over. Just want to see something over here. Okay. Right. If you guys would like to join our Legends Pro community, we do drop the alpha first. Okay, we talk about the scenarios. And I mean, there was a couple of interesting shorting scenarios. I'm not sure if I still have it here on my chart, but here on the 15-minute time frame, guys, if I remember correctly, before we had the monstrosity drop here to the downside, okay, inside of this zone, yeah, right over here, I had a longing box. You guys remember, I can bring it up, no problem. It's inside of our pro community, and I had a shorting box right over here. Okay. So I said, guys, if because we didn't make this high yet, if price comes back down, I'm interested in a long to claim the highs. If price goes up, I'm interested in a short to claim the lows. Okay, or at least eat up these lows. And this is actually the short that some people jumped into. Interesting. And some people rode it all the way to the downside. Congrats for those people that did do it. Okay, congratulations. Right. Now, what I want to discuss now is like button smash. Thanks, Nico. Appreciate it. Local structure will become a 5 waiver if we make one more high. 1 hour. The local structure will be... Oh, you're talking about the 1 hour time frame. To the upside. Let's see. Ooh, I see what you are. You know already, you know, the legends are. Blazing Fury. Well done, man. You're already counting these structures. Okay, well, for now, this looks like a nice 1. A, B, C. Okay, 2. Right, just locally. We have a nice little push with volume here to the upside. So it could already be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're doing an ABC. And you find upwards momentum. Or you get a larger 4, a 5. And then you reject above the highs. Okay. It has to be said, I mean, it's not always perfect here on the price of Bitcoin, but let's go to the 15-minute time frame. Okay, let's look at this. 1, ABC, 3, highest amount. You have to always give the structure that has the highest amount of volume the possibility of a wave 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, this could be 4, this could be 5. Okay, or maybe 5 in a ending diagonal. Okay, I'm not going to go and analyze it in detail. This could be your A, this could be your B, and now it's forming a C wave to the downside that either finds support at your 4th wave or at your 2nd wave. So good areas of support that you need to observe the price action. And then you go up for a 3, or it could be an ABC. Remember, guys, ABC. Okay, and then you take advantage of that move. Right. Okay, so yeah, that's just some smaller time frame analysis. Now what I want to do is go and, as per many Blazing Fury, as per, I think you were one of the ones that also asked, let's go and look at AR. Okay, here is Mr. AR, and this is the chart that I found for AR with the most amount of data. It's very important to analyze the chart with the most amount of data, because I need to see where did the structure come from. Can it still be bullish? Because if you look at a structure in isolation, you can be very deceived. If you only looked at this structure, okay, which most of the exchanges only show this little structure over here, you would say, well, the bullish case scenario has been invalidated because you took the low, so you can't count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and you can't label this a 1 and a 2, and now we're going up for a 3. You can't do that anymore because you took the lows. So that is why it's important to look at a chart with all the other data that you can find. And the one that I found is this one. Okay, so let's go through it quickly. People ask me, what is my exit strategy on AR? Well, let me show you. Okay, on the log scale, Okay, I love to analyze coins on the log scale, especially if they have 100% movements to the up and to the downside. It just puts it into better perspective. Okay, so when I look at AR from May 2020, okay, for now, I don't know if this is an impulse. I don't know, because I don't know where price came from. And unfortunately, this is the chart with the most data that I found. But I can see on CoinMarketCap and on CoinGecko, price was over here still. You know, there's still price action missing. So I have to make a couple of assumptions and say, well, this could be an impulsive structure. Okay, because if I count this structure from over here as an impulsive structure, well, then you have a problem over there. You can't have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your fourth wave overlapped your 1. Now you have to talk about expanding structures. Okay, so maybe, okay, let's just say best case scenario, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a contracting diagonal. Okay, let's just say, okay, I have to make assumptions because I don't have price data that goes further back. Right, but now this is where it becomes very interesting. So on AR, as per most people's request from an altcoin perspective is, for now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a 3-wave structure that took many years to form. Since 2021 up until where we are now, we have formed a 3-wave structure. 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-wave structure. So without worrying what this is, I know that after a 3-wave structure, especially on the larger time frames, the probability are still high that you're going to claim that high and that you are going to claim that high. Okay, so one of the scenarios that I have here on the chart is that since the inception of this token, let's argue that this is an impulsive structure, and now we have formed a large corrective structure that is now come to an end. And there's a valid count, guys. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that ended in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contracting diagonal, which gives you a wave A. This structure here to the upside does count as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not allowed to be a B wave. But when I zoomed into the smaller time frames, I can count an ABC to the upside. So it can be a 3-wave structure. Definitely a possibility. Okay, that can be a B wave, especially when you zoom into the smaller time frames. So you have a A, you have a B, and now you have formed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a C wave. So from a structural perspective, it is still bullish. Okay, so if I put this fib over here, you can see that you just scratched or tapped the 0.786, which is considered the maximum bullish target if you want to claim this high again. Okay, remember guys, all of this played out over multiple years. Okay, so it's not to say that we are now going to get an AR that just does this. Okay, it also needs to, even if this is the low for now, the momentum to the upside to go and claim that high could also still take this cycle, a bear market, and another cycle to play out. It can take 6 years for this momentum to the upside to play out to go and claim that high. It doesn't have to do it during this cycle. Okay. So based on this scenario, this could be your 1, this could be your 2, and now we are going to build a 3rd wave. You could now form your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is what this is one of the scenarios that I see on AR, but I have to consider bearish case scenarios as well. Okay, so from a bearish case perspective, we could then say, well, the only bearish count that I see to the downside is an ending diagonal. Okay, that looks like this, and I need to just clean up all these other things. Let's do this. That one. Let's take this one out the way. Okay, so basically this is 1, this is 2, We have now formed 3. We go up for 4, and we go down for another 5. This is very dangerous, guys, because it basically means that this project is going to die. This is what this means. The project is going to die. So from a fundamental perspective, it means the project is going to die, which is the reason I'm not giving the scenario the highest probability. But basically, in an ending diagonal, is going to be the end of the damn project. You want to see something like this. Okay. Okay, so you formed a 1, a 2. This is your third wave down with the most amount of volume. I can't see the volume on this specific chart for some reason. Okay, but it has a high amount of volume on most of the other exchanges. You now form a 4th wave, okay, and you have an invalidation for that 4th wave. Okay, so the easiest way that I like to do it is you take your trend-based fib of your parallel channel from the low to this low, you drag it to number 2. And then here, I mean, it's still very high away. Okay, here is your invalidation. Let me just grab my trend, put it here, and that little red trend over there will be your invalidation. Okay, it's still very far away. Yeah, I'm not going to rename it now. Okay, take the parallel channel out the way. There we go. So this is this little red line. Let's make it thicker so everyone can see it. That is your invalidation for this contracting diagonal. So for the moment, it still looks great, guys. And I cannot give this scenario the highest probability because that means it's the end of the project. And from a fundamental perspective, I do not see any problems as yet. The project is still healthy. They still have a lot of investment. They still have a lot of cash flow. They're still making a lot of revenue. Like the project overall is still healthy. So I can't give the scenario the highest probability. Because what do you get after an ending diagonal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get an ABC and you dump. It's going to be the death of the project. It's from a bearish case perspective. So perhaps this is maybe a clue that's going to tell us that this project's going to die. I don't know. Okay, but I just cannot give the scenario the highest probability for the moment. Okay, so from an exit perspective, is you could wait for price to claim these highs. Okay, as soon as it gets to the trend, guys, we have a nice little trend. Okay. So there is where you could exit some of your position. If you build a position in this zone and now you are underwater, well, that is a nice area to start de-risking yourself. Take a little bit out. Maybe protect your position, okay, wherever your entry is. If you're underwater, put a stop loss in place. This is why a lot of people got liquidated. They didn't have stop losses in place. If it breaks the trend successfully, it starts closing high time frame candles above, well, that's already a bullish sign. As soon as you tap the invalidation, you know, okay, well, we're going to claim this pivot, and then we're going to claim this pivot, and maybe then we're going to claim the auto, the high over there. Okay, so for now, I am not cashing out anything on AR. I have a reasonable size bag of AR, as most of you know, and I haven't kept it a secret. I do have a nice little bag of AR. Okay, but I can tell you now, if price continues up here and it taps the trend, it claims these highs, I will take a little bit out. Okay, you can see how price struggled at that order block over there. Maybe I'll take some profits, or maybe I won't take profits. Maybe I'll just protect my position, put a tight stop loss. Okay, I'll see how I'm going to play this as soon as we get there. But this is an area, because if you reject here, okay, you claim the lows again, you can go down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finish your 5th wave, and then there's another exit strategy. So even if you claim the lows again, remember, in an ending diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what do you get after a 5-wave structure to the downside? You get a 3-wave structure up. So you could exit there as well. You don't have to be premature about this, okay? You can just say, okay, I'm going to wait it out. As soon as I see the lows being claimed again, this is where I'm getting out. I'm not going to get out at a loss, guys. I can tell you now, I will not get out in a loss unless the project dies, like what happened with Umbrella. Then it is what it is. There's nothing I can do, okay? The project just died. Right, so I wanted to share a little bit of AR because of the amount of requests that I got from everyone. Okay, let's go through some comments. What are your targets for this cycle on AR? It's very difficult to say, Blazing Fury, because when I go onto the weekly time frame, okay, and you look at the entire structure, okay, let's just take this out the way because this looks so bad, right? This looks so bearish. Okay, let's switch on the bullish case scenarios again. There we go. Contracting diagonal there at the bottom, beautiful. Let's do this. Okay, so in the most bullish case scenario, you could say that, okay, let me draw it on the log scale. This is the low that I have on this chart. I know that there's another low somewhere else, but I can't find it. So I have to use this low. And I take it to the high, and I take it to the low. Okay, then what I like to do is to be a little bit more conservative. I go to the regular scale. Okay, so in the bullish case scenario, if you break trend to the upside, okay, your minimum target is always claiming these little pivots. But if this is a 1 and this is a 2, you would expect the 3 to at least go to the 1.618, which for now, based on what happened on Friday, people are going to say you are smoking your socks. But I just have to draw it out from a technical perspective, guys, that if this is a 1 and this is a 2, and we are going to break out in a third wave, it can definitely go to the 1.618. From a conservative perspective, make no mistake that I will be taking profits over here, and I will be taking profits over here if the scenario had to play out. Because something that you also have to realize is that third waves can be extremely fast and very quick, and they often look like a straight line to the upside. Okay, so what I mean by that is if this is a 1, okay, and this is the 2, you could have a 3, okay, a 4 and a 5. Right, let me just make this a green color so it doesn't look so bad, and make it a little bit bigger. Primary, there we go. Guys, and I don't mind spending a little bit more time here on AR, because this is the same analysis that I apply with any altcoin. Okay, so hopefully you are also learning through something that I'm showing over here so that you can go and apply it to your favorite altcoin as well. Okay, so now third waves, okay, you could have, which looks like a sharp first wave to the upside, a long corrective structure in a second wave, and your third waves can be very aggressive to the upside. But I still think, okay, maybe we will only get this leg during this cycle. It doesn't make sense to me that we're going to hit this target by next year. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, because already if I put my mouse over here, we are already in May of next year. We're already in May next year. So I think we're most likely going to get the first leg to the upside. Then you go into a bear market. Okay, and then your next leg is the next bull market. Okay, I don't know how it, but maybe it just does this, you know, it's very steep here to the upside, because I know third waves can be very aggressive, but let's just, you know, let's just be calm, collective. If it gets really, really bullish here to the upside, okay, my first target is that pivot and that pivot. I'm definitely taking profits at those two pivots, guys, because you could form a 1, a 2, okay, a 3, a 4, a 5, and maybe that's your first wave inside of your third wave. You know, maybe it's going to go much higher. But TP1, TP2, maybe you leave a moon bag open after you've taken out profits and your initial investment. Okay, so more than that, guys, I'm not going to do more technical analysis here on AR. So I hope for all the AR people that's asked me for technical analysis, here you go. Okay, right. ETH. Let's go look at ETH, because I have received a lot of requests for ETH as well. Okay. Let's look at the 12-hour time frame. Now, there are two bullish case scenarios here on ETH. And for now, I am calling them bullish case scenarios. Okay. So on ETH, remember, guys, to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. And before I forget, guys, for those of you that have done phenomenally well, okay, caught the short, did not get liquidated. Your portfolios are still looking nice. Weeks has got that competition, guys. Weeks still has that competition where you can win up to $1.5 million. You register to join the team and we trade together. Okay, so link is here down in the description if you'd like to join the Weeks competition. Let's trade together. I am trading on Weeks at the moment as well. Bluffing. Also, you can win an iPhone 17 Pro. On Weeks, you can also win an iPhone 17 Pro. Okay, BTCC up to $10,000, a sign-up bonus. All you need is an email and a password to sign up and start trading. And if you'd like to join our Legends Pro community, link down in the description. Okay, so now let's talk about ETH. So there's two bullish case scenarios that I'm watching. Okay, the first one being this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3, this is a 4, and we're going up for one more leg, which is not so great. Okay, but at least you're still expecting higher momentum. This is the one bullish case scenario. That's your 1, this is your 2, this is your 3, this is your 4, and we make one more high. Yes, you can get an extended fifth wave to the upside, especially when retail gets involved. Then usually you get an extended fifth wave that can really extend to the upside, maybe even hitting $10,000. Okay, you could, like what's happening now on Bitcoin. Okay, if I go here on the daily time frame, okay, and I go back to the log scale, well, I am on the log scale, and I just highlight this scenario again. Extended fifth waves can play out, especially if you are in bull market territory. Okay, so the same thing could happen for ETH, where you form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. Inside of 5 you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So that is potentially something that could happen here, where zooming out a little bit, you could form an extended fifth wave to the upside, where you now form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can get an extended fifth wave. Okay, especially when you have a short third wave. That's usually where the probabilities kick in, because on Bitcoin you have a very short third wave, and they are usually the most aggressive, the most powerful. And on Bitcoin we actually had a very short third wave, and this is why it opens up the door to an extended fifth wave, because 3 was a little bit short. Okay, so same thing could happen over here. Right, so the two scenarios that I'm watching is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's done. Okay, as long as the retracement does not tap the 0.618 when I take a fib from this low to the high. Okay, let's take this fib out the way. Okay, as long as price does not tap the 0.618, another fifth wave here to the upside still carries high probability, as long as we do not tap this level. Okay, and the 0.382, which we now tapped on ETH, and the 50% is actually very common fourth wave targets, very common. Okay, so there's a chance that the low could be in. Right, then people are going to ask me, Dewald, but what about time? Okay, because if I take a time fib from the low to the high of the structure, one could argue, well, it's not time yet. But if the fifth wave is not in, if we're still going to do this, okay, you cannot take your fib from this low to this high, because the structure is not finished. You have to have a finished structure before you can take your fib from the low to the high, and then this becomes your bear market. Okay. Right. Other bullish case scenario is that, which is actually more bullish, by the way, this one is way more bullish, is that you have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. It's done. So you do take your time fib from the low to the high, and then I'm going to say, well, it's not time yet. Okay, then you also need to take your fib from this low to the high. So two bullish case scenarios, but both scenarios points up. Okay, so I have directional bias. ETH has a high chance it's going to claim its all-time high again, regardless of how deep the correction goes. So the probabilities on ETH is that you're going to claim this high before you claim this low again. Okay, The most bullish case scenario that I see on ETH is that you've already completed a 5-wave structure. This corrective structure continues up until after the 0.382. It does not have to take the low again. You could have a diagonal. You can have a WXY that finishes in a diagonal. So it could literally form a diagonal, okay? And it forms A, B, C, D. Sorry, guys. A, B, C, D, E. Sorry. A, B, C, D, E, and it breaks out. And then your correction ended over there. In this scenario, if your 5th wave is in and the correction continues after the 0.382, it's actually way more bullish, guys, because then you are looking at a 1, a 2, and a 3 to the upside. That could even surpass $10,000. It can go to it can go to $15,000, $20,000. But if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't see a lot of upwards momentum for ETH unless, even in an extended 5th wave, it still has, targets that could top out at any moment. But in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corrective structure that finishes after the 0.382, well, you can label this as a 1, you can label this as a 2, and then you can label this as a 3rd wave to the upside, not a 5th wave, which is way more bullish. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so again, it also depends on what Bitcoin's next move is going to be. Okay, it also depends on how long this corrective structure is going to continue. If it builds a triangle over here, there's a high chance that your correction ended over there, and you could get an explosion that no one is expecting on ETH. Okay, so regardless of whether ETH tops out at $7,000 or whether it tops out at $15,000, regardless of what happens over here, I'm still expecting the high to be claimed before we claim the low. You cannot have a 5-wave structure in isolation. It has to have a partner leg, even if it's a corrective structure. What do I mean? Okay, so the most bullish case scenario is that this is a 1. You form a wave 2 and you go up for a 3 and a 4 and a 5. It just continues to the upside. The most bearish case scenario, okay, is because a 5-wave move, if this is a 5-wave move, it needs a partner leg. It needs a connector wave which connects the next partner leg. You need a 5, 3, 5. So this could be a, you form a B, and you get a C to the upside. And then bang, you just fall and you claim these lows again. But from a corrective perspective and from a bullish perspective, I'm still expecting the high to be claimed again before we claim the low. So I can't talk about bear markets at the moment. And can you guys see when I look at ETH and the mother of all the altcoins, and I look at Bitcoin, the probabilities for me are still higher that we are going to get upwards momentum, and that is where I get my directional bias from. Right. Legends, I've been here over an hour. I try and keep my live streams to an hour. All right. So I do know that some of you are posting some altcoin requests. I will take 1 or 2. Tau. Let's look at Tau. Okay. And this is where people can drop off if they want to. Okay. Let's look at Tau. TAO USDT. Let's just look at. I actually want to look at the Coinbase charts. The one thing, guys, I wanted to highlight is where's Mr. Tau? Okay, I'll bring it up now. But the one thing I want to highlight, let me just put my face on the other side, is that you will see here on my list, I have changed all of my altcoins to the Coinbase pair, because I've noticed with this massive dump that we've had to the downside, the Coinbase pairs held up the best. Okay, it makes technical analysis for me a lot easier because some of the liquidation events on some of the exchanges doesn't make sense to me from a technical perspective. Where the Coinbase chart, it looks like it respected technicals better. So I'm now doing my technical analysis using the Coinbase pairs. Okay, so that's why it's important for me to use the Coinbase pairs. Right, so let's do that again. Tau USD. Okay, let's add that. Right, let's see what it looks like. Let's do the daily. Oh my word. Well. That dip got bought up so quickly. That dip. Okay, well, you've missed it, okay? Because here on the daily time frame, look at this, okay? There was your breakout. You missed it. Okay, it swept the lows, basically swept this low over here, swept the lows, broke out. Now, there's nothing you can do right now, okay, because this does look like an impulsive structure to the upside. You have a corrective structure to the downside that most probably found support at the 786, if I'm not mistaken. Just want to see 786, okay, and this is not, unfortunately, the only price action that I do see. Yes, maximum target has been hit. It did not tap the 0.88. Let me just change this one. 0.88. Where is my 0.88? Do I have it here? Do I not have the 0.88? Well, let me change this one to the 0.886. Nope. Why did you do that? Let's try again. Right. Again, you did not tap the 0.886, which usually means that you're going to increase the probabilities of taking the low. So it found the maximum target. You have an impulse to the upside. You have a three-wave corrective structure. Broke the trend, okay, and probabilities for now, just looking at the structure, is that you're going to come and claim this pivot and the all-time high. Okay, I don't know what happened before here because I can't see the price action on Coinbase, but I like now for after the dump on Friday, for me it's better to do technical analysis on the Coinbase pairs if you can find it for your specific altcoin, because not all the altcoins do have a Coinbase pair. Right, so there's nothing to do at the moment on here on Tau. There's nothing to do, okay, unless you have a spot bag. You just want to know where to get in. But now even the structure to the upside looks bullish, okay, because now this looks like a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, and then you get your 4 5 4 5 to go and complete this 1 2 inside of the structure. So it looks like it can still find upwards momentum. The best thing you can do if you want to day trade it, okay, it's not my favorite thing to do on altcoins, okay, is you go onto the smaller time frames and you play the breakouts. Okay, momentum is to the upside and you have your little breakouts that's taking place over here, and this is where you can get in with good risk management. Okay, now that's a little bit steep. Okay, anyways, you play the breakouts to the upside. There's just you missed it. Okay, you missed the breakout, so there's nothing to do here at the moment. Right, let's do one more altcoin. Let's do one more altcoin. Right, I want to look at Fetch. Not because I just want to look at it. I see it here in the comment section. Okay, let's look at Fetch. Right, and guys, this is actually one that I bought with a dip on Saturday, Friday. This is the one. This is one that I actually bought on Friday because the structure is so goddamn bullish. Okay, guys, I'm not even going to dive into Elliott wave theory, but you have momentum to the upside with high volume. And you have this choppiness to the downside, okay, on decreasing volume. And you still have such a beautiful higher low. You still have such a beautiful higher low, which means that the structure is still bullish and it can still move up to claim the high. So during this little dip, I bought a little bit more Fetch and to drag my average entry down as well. Okay. I mean, from a Fibonacci perspective, let's see where we bounced. Tapped the 0.618 to the dollar, to perfection. Beautiful bounce. Okay. And so what you basically want to do is you want to go back to the regular scale and you want to see if there's a nice trend forming. Okay. And that's the breakout you want to pay attention to. So there's a nice little breakout that you need to pay attention to. So for Fetch, it's not too late to get in. Tau has gone already. It's nothing to do on Tau. It's just if you're in, you enjoy the profits to the upside, take TP, protect position. But here on Fetch, for example, is that there's still a chance to break out. Okay. close some high time frame candles above, you know where to put your stop loss. You're going to be patient. You're going to be very patient with this trade. This is the daily time frame. You don't have to wait for the alarm to go off and you just FOMO in. No, wait for candles to close outside. We'll wait for it to show you bullish momentum. Okay, so this is basically what I see on Fetch. But for now, like I've highlighted, is price has still formed a beautiful higher low. Okay, the structure looks impulsive. This looks corrective. And the one bearish case scenario I do have to point out is for Fetch, it's not guaranteed that you're going to take that high. It's not guaranteed. And I know it's quite a nice move here to the upside of 800%. The one thing on Fetch that concerns me a little bit, and the reason I'm going to take a little bit more aggressive profits on Fetch, is that when I go back to the log scale, okay, the one thing I don't like is it looks like a 5-wave structure. Okay, now I have to now analyze, well, can it be an ending diagonal? Okay, so yep, it's still in the realms of an ending diagonal. So the danger with this structure is that you could form a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. Okay, that's your 5th wave. You go back up for an ABC and you fall. So these little highs over here, guys, great TP areas. I will most probably take a big chunk of profits over here and close my position over here, because after a 5-wave structure, you're never guaranteed to take out that high. Anything can happen, because this could also be a WXYXZ and you lift off. I know this can be a corrective structure. I just don't like 5-wave structures, so I'm more aggressive with profit taking. Okay, right, legends, that is all I have for you today. Remember to smash up that like button. All of these altcoins can be traded with the links down in the description. Remember, Weeks has got that competition. You register, you join the team, we trade together, dip our fingers into $1.5 million prize pool. There's individual prizes to be won as well, so make sure that you go and register for the competition. Bluffin has an iPhone 17 Pro up for grabs. Just by trading, you can stand a chance to win the prize. And have yourselves an amazing Monday. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers for now.